I hereby call this planning commission meeting to order on Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025, 7 p.m. Will all citizens join me in pledge allegiance to the flag of our country? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Wilson, would you give us an indication, please, sir?
Let's pray. Our God, we come before you this afternoon to do the work of the county. Let us listen to each other speak, understand what each other is saying, and be courteous. We ask these things in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Ms. Kelly, may we have a roll call vote to establish a quorum, please?
Mr. Mead.
Here. Here.
Mr. Wilton.
Here.
Mr. Riddle.
Here.
Mr. Rouse.
Here.
Ms. Minor. Here. Mr. Morgan.
Here.
Mr. Meeks.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. You have approval of the agenda or any amendments? Ms. Francis, you want to make an amendment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to add the minutes of the May 2025 Planning Commission meeting to our agenda for approval and to move number 10C on our agenda to be first under new business.
May I have you add to that motion so we can put in the record the email of Supervisor Tom Bowen of July the 8th, 2025 at 9:42 p.m. July 8th, 2025 at 9:42 p.m.
In addition to that, I would like to add Mr. Bowen's email dated July 8th, 2025 at 9:42 p.m.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Make a couple of notes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
the July 8th, it was actually 9:42 a.m. that, not here.
right?
I would like to amend that to 9:42 a.m.
All right, have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the amendment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so we already had a motion and voted for it, so we can't amend a motion that's already been voted for, so she just has to make a new
You
motion.
should have made a motion. Yeah, I'm sorry, you did try to amend the motion, I'm sorry, make a new motion to correct the date on
Gentlemen, I would like to, make a new motion to amend the time on my previous motion to 9:42 a.m.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Can I have a motion to approve or correct the minutes of May 13th and May 20th, 2025 meetings? Take them both together unless we have corrections. Here are no corrections. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 13th and May 20th?
So moved.
Mr. Riddle made the motion. Mr. Wilton, All in favor? All opposed? Minutes have been approved unanimously. We now come to the first public comment period. So I will now open the general public comment period. Speakers have an opportunity of one opportunity with 3 minutes each. Speakers shall give their name and address. Speakers cannot assign their time, whole or part, to any other speaker. Material submitted to the planning commission may be submitted through the secretary, which is Ms. Kelly. And commissioners may interrupt at any time to ask questions or for clarifications. Do we have any speakers signed up to speak? Ms. Kelly, did you have signed up?
No speakers signed up. There are no speakers signed up.
We didn't know that this.
That's fine.
That's okay, we're gonna take you one at a time. Who wants to be the first? Do we have any speakers who want to come up and speak? Citizen Jones?
Well, you already know who I am, so do I need to get?
Yes. All right.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dave Jones, 10344 Wesley Hall Road. Before you tonight is a situation to where you're being asked to look at whether to exempt the county from zoning ordinances. As Citizen Jones, I beg you not to even consider it. As Supervisor Jones, I'll never vote for it. Okay? Just make it clear on that. Has not been done in this manner. I will not vote for it. There are things here that I think that you should really take the time, and I've stressed the time, to look into this in every imaginable way before you make a recommendation. And that's all I ask of you, is due diligence and don't make a move hastily. And don't be forced into a move over emails that come to you expressing one's opinion on the county email. That's their right to do. I'm gonna tell you what my right is. My right is to stand here and to tell you that I'm not in favor for it and won't be in favor for it forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Come back, we have a commissioner who wants to ask you a question.
Sure.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
What do you believe is a reasonable solution to this matter? In your
What do
opinion?
I believe is a reasonable solution to this matter? The reasonable solution is to act in the manner of befitting of your office and to look at all aspects before making a decision to allow the county just to arbitrarily circumvent zoning laws, okay? To facilitate one building. If that's the question, this is for one building. And I'm trying to figure out what are the personal gains of all of this. And I'm struggling with it. So, but there are facts that will be coming to light as you take your time going through this. And I think some people already know that we have more serious problems now than we ever thought. Okay, and those are a matter of state record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kelly, are you keeping the clock?
Yes.
Thank you, dear. Next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
D. Russell, 276 Geyser Lane, Hudgens, Virginia. At the BOS meeting in June of this year, there was a motion to grant a waiver to allow the county to subdivide the land of county-owned property which the Holy Wall is a tenant. Board members Jones and Wall said this has never been done, and they were not in favor, as was just presented. However, on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, at 3 p.m., the board at the time, which included both members who spoke against it in June 2025, had called for a special meeting and had it placed on the agenda under new business. subdivision of property located in historic Fort Greene, to grant waivers authorized by section 149 subdivision of land to exempt tax map 2683A163 from the requirement of section 140-17A to allow subdivision to said parcel without meeting the requirements of the 10,000 contiguous square feet of building area, and that this waiver will not nullify the intent or purpose of chapter 140 or contrary to the comprehensive plan, the zoning ordinance, and the erosion of the sediment control ordinance. In this case, the board was cutting less than a 10,000 contiguous feet section out of the historic Fort Greene under the Confederate monument to give to a newly formed corporation of members of the local Sons of Confederate Veterans. This was not just discussed at this special meeting, but it was voted on by the board and passed without a public hearing and even before any citizen comment period. In fact, the quick deed had already been prepared and was signed and then recorded at the clerk's office the next day. I only know that there was a vote because I was there. The minutes from the meeting do not include the recording of the motion or the vote in direct violation of Code of Virginia 15.21427B and 2.2300707H, which requires a recorded vote. In fact, there was no video or audio recording. There was a public hearing on Tuesday, December 6, 2022, which was held at the Matthews High School. This public hearing was in fact after they had already cut this piece of property out legally. The whole idea was highly contested by many Matthews citizens, and the public hearing ended with an adjournment, and it has not been brought up again by the board. The cutout property, neither given nor sold. The quick deed, however, still sits in the Matthews Circuit Court as a separate piece of property from the rest of the historic ring. Waivers apparently can and have been done before and by members of our current board. To say otherwise is simply not true. I noticed in your packet there was only the Code of Virginia 15.2-22.85. I also believe this committee should also be reading Matthews County Ordinance 149.1, waivers and procedures, which was used to allow the previous waiver, which I have attached copies, which I will give to your clerk.
Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Lisa Edwards, 75 Millstone Lane, which is the end of South Bay Haven Drive, Queens Island. I'm here to express mine and my family's opposition to the ongoing proposal of creating a public park at the end of our road, directly next to our family home. We've expressed vocal opposition now for 4 years, and we have submitted 2 petitions against it. One of these just last week to the board. I forwarded this petition today to the planning commission by email. At this point, we don't see what having a public hearing would do to resolve this, when as direct neighbors, it is our voices that should matter here, and that the county should take to heart. This is not a countywide issue like upgrading facilities at the school or library. This impacts our quality of life and sense of peace day in and day out. We have numerous safety, traffic, privacy, environmental, and maintenance concerns that have been voiced on many occasions. This parcel should have never been rezoned in our opinion. The road is very narrow, quiet, peaceful, and not fit for increased traffic and tourism. For years now, we've had a Milford Landing public fishing pier, county owned, just a third of a mile down the street, and we don't need or want another one. As it is, the county has come up short on monitoring this and maintenance for the dock. We know it would be worse if anything's allowed to happen on the proposed park at the end of the road. Matthews County already has several public beaches and many points of water public access, much more than other counties do. Recent social media posts among local residents point out that the county already struggles to manage oversight over its public access locations. There have been various Facebook discussions citing the lack of trash removal and porta potty dumping at Haven Beach, And even comments by Tim Tillage, the county's grounds manager, that they couldn't keep up all the properties that need to be kept up, and that there aren't enough resources and systems in place for proper upkeep. No amount of signage is gonna stop people from littering or violating the hours and the rules, and it's proven this by the other public access situations. This parcel is also not gonna generate any income for the county, nor is it gonna help decrease anyone's taxes, as was recently suggested. We would like the property to remain untouched as open green space, especially until such time as we might have a plan to rezone it or negotiate some other sort of solution with the county. We realize that this is just one property on a pretty long list of properties that the county owns, and that various elected folks and non-elected folks want to do something with it. But we would argue that the county should take better care of its current public access and not push forward with some plan that would negatively affect all of our lives. We will have to live with this for decades to come, while elected officials and county employees are temporary employees making decisions, and it's not fair to the residents who have to bear the burden. Thank you very much.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I got your email. It's too big to open on my phone.
Uh-huh.
So how many people on the petition?
I want to say at least 30.
So I was watching the board meeting the other night, and it looked like I saw some room for compromise on the part. Do you feel like there's any room to compromise on?
I suppose that would be, depend on what it would be. I think that the majority of the residents are really adamantly against, up here or not. Definitely a parking lot would be a real burden on the houses that are right there. That's extremely close distance from the side of the Bonner's house and the Hall's house. And putting a porta potty in there would be a nightmare. So those are the things that are really like a hard no for us.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Next.
My name is Helen Beckard, and I am successor trustee of 107 Millstone Lane. My father, Tom Edwards, is current trustee of the property. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Residents of South Bay Haven Road are opposed to this proposal. It was mentioned on May 15th meeting that the residents of South Bay Haven Road support this development, and we do not. It is clear that we do not support it. I just wanted to ask, is there anyone here who has a porta potty across the street from your house? Maybe show of hands.
Currently or used to?
I'm just curious, how you like it.
Well, it's.
Well, I'll tell you that I
I think
grew
she
up
was
by
asking
Liberty.
me,
Hold on,
I
guys.
raised my hand.
Hold on.
oh, I was listening to. Who are you asking?
I'm asking anyone who wanted to talk about having a porta potty across from their house.
So I live, not exactly across, but close enough to trees, porta potties, and I don't have one across my house, I have hundreds. And, it's fine.
Well, it's not fun, and with porta potties.
Hold on one
raised-
second, hold on one second. Mr. Morgan, did you have a statement?
Honestly, I was actually going to echo Mr. Rouse's comment. I actually grew up just about across the street from Trudy's, and I'd live next door to it today. I didn't have a problem, but I'm not like you, and I respect your opinion. So I want to be honest with that.
Well,
Thank you. You didn't need that.
the day and age, I think, has changed from probably when this occurred. I don't know though. I don't know if you lived across the street. I don't know what time. But there's a lot of things that are already taking place on our property, with illegal drug paraphernalia that I find in the yard. And, it brings nothing but trouble, in my opinion. And, we don't want to see, here, and a porta potty, and any other kind of parking lot or picnic tables. That road is very narrow. People can't be passing on that road with two boats pulling each direction. There's not enough room. You already go into the ditch if you're just a regular car passing a big old truck. So, there's just not enough room on the road to handle that kind of traffic. So anyhow, we're worried about the ecosystem as well out there with our oyster fields. And building up here, of course, is not going to be very good for the environment. Again, I'd like to echo what Lisa said about the countless places around the county that are not being properly maintained. I don't think you guys really can maintain another piece of parcel, in my opinion. I think that he should try to get it rezoned back to a residential lodge. That's what we would like, because then it would be tax revenue for you. You'd be earning money on that lot.
Thank you. You know, the land was given to Matthews County by FEMA. So the lady who lived there, her house, FEMA paid her off in the big flood. I guess it was Isabel, I'm not sure, I can't remember, I read on the documents. So the land is limited to what can be done. You can't build a house on it. You can't build a residence on it. And that is for the life of the land. So Matthews accepted the gift from FEMA. It was rezoned, I think, we made a recommendation back in 2022, for conservation. And that was, request of the board back then to see, if they had some kind of use for the water access. So that's where we're at. It can never be built on again. Now, you can have a bathroom can be built there and a pavilion. That would be it, according to the restrictions of the deed. I'm just trying to let you know that's what.
Perhaps it could be something conservation. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I just feel that there should be another option because that's not what the residents want.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Diane Congrove, 754 South Bay Haven on Glens Island, and I'm here to voice concerns about the overdevelopment of a small residential lot at the end of our street. I was joined by over a dozen neighbors at the BLS meeting in June asking that an improved motion, including a pier, pavilion, porta potties, picnic tables, and parking spaces with not limited to, added to the amenities, that it be rescinded. We were told the motion would be put on hold and returned to zoning. That's why we're here. I moved to Glens Island from Hampton, delighted to be in a quiet residential neighborhood at the end of a narrow road away from public space. My neighbors are full-time residents. We keep our properties well maintained and we look out for each other. We know we are safe and we seldom see vehicles that we don't recognize. This will change with the park. I picked up my first ever empty beer cans in my front yard. My neighbor's house sign has been knocked down. Cars and trucks I don't recognize speed past my house, exceeding the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit by 15. And that's just been since the house has been removed there and the county now owns the empty lot. I don't feel safe walking or riding my bike like I used to. The public dock a block away from my house is in need of maintenance and monitoring. I hear the same about the beaches in Matthews County. I'm concerned a park would be added to the list of maintenance challenges. Please see this development through our eyes. We would love to see a new neighbor on that lot, if it's possible. We've heard sometimes FEMA will allow that to be rezoned. That's what brought me to Glens Island. It's quiet, friendly, residential atmosphere. My neighbors and I would like it to stay that way. Please take time to meet with us and go forward with a plan that honors our wishes to keep our neighborhood a safe, quiet one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening.
Hi, I'm Phyllis McCarron, 75 Millstone Lane, Glen. I got a bunch of minutes here. Take that, so I won't read that. And in the discussion so far, it's kind of changed my mind about what I wanted to say. I think Mr. Cook, you said that nothing could ever be built on that property. Was a house could never be built on that property?
Correct.
Okay,
According to the deed restrictions that were, according to the deed restrictions that were passed on to Matthews County.
right. We have read all of the deeds, we've gone back to the CUP provisions and everything. We've been through all the FEMA regulations. Believe me, we have researched this thoroughly. And there are ways, the upper part of that lot that's close to the Bonner's house is very high and it could be easily built on, but it's a matter of getting FEMA to change the designation on the property, and it can be done. We have researched it. Another thing, if that would happen, then the county could sell the property and make some money and have an income producing thing. That would be good for the county. The other thing that we've thought about and researched is, it can be sold to a conservation organization. And, that is possible. We would have to see an attorney to draw up something to make an organization or an LLC or whatever you call it. And that could be done. There's a problem with that in that you have to be, the organization has to be in effect for 2 years before the property can be bought. Excuse me. So I just wanted to throw that in because and I have read the comprehensive plan from Matthews County. And I'm sure all of you have read it too, and it goes on and on and on and on. So anyway, I'll get back to what I was going to say, please. Mr. Bowen has told us that the referral back to the Planning Commission was to investigate how it fits with the comp plan. So I assume that all of you have checked on this. I have read the comp plan and found that Gwen's Island plan for development is almost identical to other sections on different parts of the county. Of course, it fits in. Public access is something that the county pushes all the time, trying to find property that will fit that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you're getting an extra 15 seconds. It took you a while to get going, so go ahead. You get 15 more seconds.
Well, what I wanted to say is, the thing on tonight's agenda was for a public hearing to address this issue, and this is not a controversial issue. We don't feel that a public hearing is appropriate. It doesn't affect the entire county. To us, the residents, it is simply a matter of our individual rights as private property owners versus the county.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you.
There will be a second public comment period also tonight at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes, sir. Richard Hicks, North Virginia. South Bayhaven purchased, according to the newspaper, the term they use, with a FEMA grant. You know, free money that doesn't cost us poor taxpayers anything. Hey, it's free. A grant that no citizen could have gotten. Knowingly used by our county leadership to purchase a piece of property that is in a residential neighborhood, and then votes to change the zoning from residential to a public park. Not one citizen will be allowed to do such a thing. Destroy the character of a private residential neighborhood with a park. The county would never allow you or I to just plop a public water access in the middle of a long-established neighborhood. But when government buys a piece of property, the rules all of a sudden change. Don't you just love government? Big or Matthews County, small. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Anyone else?
My name is Matt St. Louis. I've been living here for 30 years. I like kiteboarding.
What's your address?
264 Ships Way, Susan.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I like kiteboarding. South Gwynns Island is like one of the best spots in the world. Every time I've been going to Gwynns Island for 30 years, I feel like I'm trespassing. I feel like I'm about to get my car tires popping. This isn't California. This isn't a surfing beach. I don't really care about building or taxes, but I know a lot of people who are here who love to be here, who need access to the water. There's none on Gwynns Island. There's never been, as far as comfortably getting into the water without freaking out and worrying about your car or having a little old lady put a note on your windshield like you're a Nazi. I'm not dumping beer cans. I don't know anything about that. I haven't been on Gwynns Island. Even I gave up a long time ago. It's just a shame that attitude is not Matthews. That's some kind of California, and we know what's happened there. We see it even down in Texas right now. It's not healthy. It's not about more tax revenue. It's not about moaning and complaining. People need access to the water. They need kayaks, kiteboarding, windsurfing, fishing, whatever. Thank you for acquiring that property. I really haven't followed the story too closely lately, but the idea of working hard to sell it and calling up lawyers to change it because you get a little tax, that's just all silly. People want access to the water. We've already suffered easily since 1998 when I moved here. Has anyone ever felt comfortable going to Gwynns Island and crawling in the water?
You can't speak to the crowd. You gotta speak to us.
Okay, enough. It's been going on forever. It's ridiculous. People deserve to walk up or get their kid baptized or whatever they have a use for, and a beer can or someone worried about cars not having room to pack. I mean, that's just so juvenile. Access to the beach. I don't have a giant truck. I'm not throwing beer cans. I'm not cigarettes. Nothing at night. I'm old now. But it's a shame to have gone so long and not have access to the most beautiful place in the world. The sandy beaches. You know, we all know what it's like in Gwynns Island. We've all seen the Google images. It's amazing. And they're acting like, let's just close it off and build a fence like it's Malibu or something. And we got Mrs. Disney living in a mansion. It's ridiculous. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to get up and speak? All right, seeing no one else, I'll now close the public hearing.
We got somebody.
Okay.
My name is John Bonner, and I'm 809 South Bay Haven Road in Glen. So, interesting discussion right there. The problem is, what do you expect there? Do you have any expectations of all of what you want to be there? Whether it's water or whatever? No? Okay. Well, the thing is that nobody is really looking at the lot. If you walk out from the water, you go 10 feet, sand is gone, mud. You move another 20 feet, you're going down 3 inches in the mud. Last November, I took a picture of the beach when it was a really low tide. And you could see every piling that when they cut it down, they left stubs in the water. So you got a safety problem there. And the thing is, it's not what people would probably think it was good. You know, like you don't want to let your kids out there and get stuck in the mud, and you certainly don't want them kicking any pilings. So I think there needs to be more. The board, it took 4 years to finally get the state to come in to measure the road to see what's going on. We haven't got that information back yet, but that's critical to what's going on here. So, thank you.
Bob, we have one question for you.
Oh, okay.
In fact, sir, many of us have been to that property several times.
Yeah.
We had to use it personally. I know I was out there, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Walls, and others. So, and tidbit to your question, as far as access, there are about 17 access points for water. Some are very, very small.
Gwynns Island?
Not in Gwynns Island, Matthews County, because I did
Gwynns
survey
Island.
with Mr. Hill on that for 17 points.
Yeah, I'm referring to Gwynns Island, South Gwynns Island
Okay,
specifically.
Mr. Bob, thank you. You can find those access, hold on a second, you can find those access points.
I lived here 30 years.
In the mixed up book, okay. Mr. Morgan, go ahead.
I have a question in regards to the comment about, not you didn't make this, but about a pier and going through the lawyers to sell the property and somebody would build a house on one specific spot. I lived here my whole life. One of the first things somebody's gonna wanna do when they buy a waterfront property, put in a dock. I'm buying a house, I'm buying land on Milford Haven, I want a house, I want a dock, probably gonna want a boat lift, and they're gonna wanna sit there and look at their boat. And I just, if that process is possible, I don't know, and were to be done, you probably still wind up with somebody building a dock. Not saying the county's going to, but I'm just stating the obvious here. If I bought a piece of waterfront property, that'd be one of the first things on my bucket list, so.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's been, by the they said they had that about 150-foot pier to go out. And that sounded like it was out of their money range. And so that gets you out to about 6-7 feet of water, and that's it. So.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? You'd like to make a comment?
Could I reply back to what Mr. Morgan just said?
Please,
No,
if you.
no, we can't, without having back and forth. But there's a little chance at the end of the meeting. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, we now close the public comment period. Unfinished business. Mr. Andre, we'll start off with the agritourism, and then we'll go to the progress of the special event permit.
Good evening, board members. With agritourism, we mentioned this in our last meeting, and I was to get with Ms. Wilson and the county attorney. Mentioned it to the board of supervisors as well, that we were going to do this. We've done some research, and I think I made a statement with regard to agritourism in the last one that you would want to probably not be as restricted as you'd like to be in this. Loudoun County and Spotsylvania County, I know they're up in the north, next to us, but they have been sued by people who want to do agritourism, and they told they could not do that. That Loudoun County in April of this year is changing their ordinance, their restricted ordinance, to be more aligned with the state's ordinance on agritourism. So it's staff's recommendation that if we were to adopt any type of agritourism verbiage in our ordinance, that it would align with the state. Now, Gloucester has some restrictions, but Gloucester hasn't been sued yet.
Did you run this, did you have a meeting with the county attorney?
Did I have a meeting with the county attorney on this specific issue?
You did not.
I did not have a meeting.
So just to be fair, you and I talked about this earlier today, and you said you had not. And the planning commission had asked you to do that.
Correct.
So I don't know if we can talk without that happening. You're right, Gloucester County has a restricted agritourism, and they have it handled by administratively.
Mhm.
Now, the state code is pretty tough on that, so maybe we can't handle this by CUP or case by case. Maybe it is handled administratively, and that's how Gloucester County gets by with it. Well, that's how they handle it without going to court, but without talking to the county attorney, Bobby, we left out here, you know.
Correct.
So we need that to happen. In my personal opinion, that must happen before next month.
Well, it's a good thing that it probably didn't happen because we have to also came around the solar farm issue, the ordinance that we sent up for supervisors. It wasn't strict enough or not clear enough. And we were also told today by Mr. Wilson that it would be illegal to not allow solar farms in this county or any county. So what we would have to do is put in our ordinance, again, we'll have to clear this up with the county attorney, put in our ordinance a location or locations or districts where this is allowed by right.
Bobby, I hate to be up here disagreeing with you
Yeah,
again
you
tonight.
Not disagree with me, I'm just letting you know what we found out.
As chairman of this planning commission, I met with the county administrator, and we sent emails to the county attorney about this twice. She approved the language that this planning commission passed.
She did.
And she sent that to the board of supervisors, and I watched that meeting, and I didn't hear anybody speak up, I didn't hear her speak up, I heard nobody speak up. But now all of a sudden, we're back to square one.
Yes, sir.
Now it's too restricted to say we don't want solar not allowed. But she approved the language that we sent to the board. It's unacceptable for us to be going back through this again. When the county attorney approved that language. The planning commission approved that language. So what are we doing now?
Well, we're gonna have to speak to the county attorney and see, find out, I think from the information I got from the county administrator, that it would be illegal for us to not allow solar farms.
Well, that's outside, the meeting I watched, the board voted to send that to you and the county attorney and not back to the planning commission, correct? So we have no more to say about that at this point. I'm just frustrated that that wasn't brought out in the meeting, and now it's, planning commission, we did our job. According to the attorney, what she said was acceptable.
And I did mine according to what was, what I was allowed to write in the public announcement and present to you and the board.
Oh, yes, sir, okay, all right. Commissioners, we haven't got to the permit yet, but anything on the agritourism, he brought up the solar, do y'all have anything you'd like to talk to Mr. Andre about that? Okay, you want to go to the next?
Okay, the progress on the special events permit. We talked about that last meeting, presented that I talked about in this meeting to the board of supervisors. Board of supervisors, I think one of them had a question about it, and Ms. Wilson piped in. She said this was the impetus behind the special events permit because somebody had a wedding venue somewhere, and I know that when we talked about it here in this meeting last month, that we discussed that we were not going to be able to restrict someone from using public property, county property, and reserve it for any special event. So we kind of let, and the board of supervisors is kind of my take on their feeling on this, that they were not going to be in favor of it. So it's another one that we're backtracking on. So.
All right, so the board sent it back to us. The planning commission made it very clear that we did not want to charge any fees, and that we did not think a big permit was necessary in little old Matthews County. There was talk of maybe a permit for the firehouse when we got it, possibly, with coverage of insurance, and also with Mayfair or market days for this area. maybe the library. That was like the gist of it. A one-page, simple country boy permit, if I may say. We're not a big city, we don't need all that, but, county, needs a little protection and making sure that, that those places, the beach, the public places, I think the commissioners made this up pretty clear about all that. Commissioners, y'all want to chime in on anything on that issue? You want to bring us back something next month?
I can bring back something next month, we'd like, more obviously, if you're not charging anything that permits, just, what are we doing with it? It's just, time consuming. In our office. It's just project.
Right.
So, if I'm understanding Byron correctly.
Yeah.
He feels like that, the board of supervisors probably wouldn't be in favor of a special events permit for the county anyway. So I guess my point is, why are we even doing this? We don't want to have a special permit for access permit, event permit for like Port Front or any parks or probably no beaches and definitely not the courthouse green. So that leaves a possible future ex-fire station. And that's it. Seems like we're just trying to create work for nothing. Okay, I said this last meeting. Somebody got upset because they tried to have a wedding at Port Front and then people showed up playing pickleball or basketball or playing on the swings or the play gym. You know what? You got, and I said it last meeting, I'll say it again. You go to Yorktown Beach, you have a wedding on the beach, guess what? You got 500 extra guests that you didn't think were gonna be at your wedding. Because why? It's public. If you wanna have your wedding at a nice, I don't know, outdoor area, pony up the money, go someplace like a vineyard or something and have a wedding. I don't know why anybody would wanna have a wedding at Port Front anyway. I'm just saying, but like, why are we, it seems like we're creating work for ourselves when it doesn't sound like anybody on this commission is in favor of it. It doesn't sound like the board of supervisors is in favor of it. And even if it did pass, it would have so many limitations on it. Nobody would be able to get a permit for anywhere anyway. So why are we doing it?
Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you. I certainly agree with Mr. Rounds. I guess to have fun. I had fun at my wedding a couple months ago. The only thing I think we had left open was the insurance, if they did use our car. Bobby, were you going to check with the attorney to see if our policy
Wait, it would cover in.
covers any event, private, otherwise? that
I spoke to
permitted?
Ms. Wilson, yes, we are covered in all of our public things.
So we are covered. Thank you.
So one other point, if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So the only scenario that I can see that this would work is at Port Front and Putin Creek, we have these pavilions where people can have picnics and whatnot, right? You could maybe reserve a pavilion and pay $10 to guarantee that nobody else is gonna sit at your picnic table, but that's about it.
Let me ask you a scenario here. Let me ask you hypothetical.
I'm sorry, I don't speak hypothetical.
Okay. Well, I'll spit some facts out there. About 2 years ago, Market Days Committee stopped anybody from campaigning on the green when they had market days. Now, would permit come in handy there? Now, I don't know if it was the whole Market Days Committee, but I know it was one young lady who stopped anybody from passing out literature, pens. I mean, who's in charge of the green? Who's in charge of road? Market Days? They have no permit. They have no permit, so do they, are they in charge or are we free citizens to roam and do as we please?
I would say they are not in charge. And they have no legal right to tell anybody that they can't stand on a public sidewalk or a public green and, express their First Amendment right.
If you don't pay money for one of the booths, and you put your own booths in there without the Market Days permission, without a permit, you don't have a permit.
I got a question.
We're getting into it, but I mean, let's get into it.
Yeah, put up a booth.
Okay. Mr. Morgan.
I just wanna know how all them old heads before our time survived Market Days all them years without paying a little money and having a piece of paper says they could do it. For years, this county had Market Days, and for years, we've had events here, we've had farmers markets with no drama, and now we're creating drama over a permit. This is Matthews. This man had a good point earlier. Let's let this be Matthews and let's stop. We already got insurance. The Market Days Committee got away with, or they were allowed to, I don't know, run people away with giving out campaign literature. Was it the end of the world? No. Let's all just be Matthews County citizens. Let's have a good Market Days. Let's have a good Mayfair. Let's come up here and enjoy different things that go on, and let's stop worrying about a piece of paper, because God knows our founding fathers weren't worried about it.
I agree with you 100%. Anybody else? Mr. Riddle?
I certainly agree with you. I mean, we spent $25 in a salary to approve a $10 permit.
Thank you.
All right, well, y'all want to get to bed? Anybody want to make a motion, make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that we not request permits for special events?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the board that we do not have permits for special events in this county.
Second. All right, Mr. Doug, got it in first. Mr. Roush. All right, do we have any more discussion? We've had quite a bit before the motion. Do we have any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, Bob, there's a recommendation for the Board of Supervisors on the special event.
Also right here, so they got this.
We got something off our plate. Thank you. All right, thank you, Commissioners. All right, we go down to committee reports. Reports from the Workforce Housing Committee. Who wants to take that?
I'll jump in here if I may.
Okay.
I guess it's vacation months, but we, as you know, you were there, Mr. Chairman, there was a conference call with HRSD, which I think is an integral part of making affordable housing or workforce housing, and that significantly reduces the cost for septic versus sewer. And until we hear back from that, I don't think we're quite in a position to move. We do have quite a few theories and ideas that we will probably have something more specific to support you next month. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Bain?
In addition, what Rob was talking about, we're looking at the accessory dwelling units, which are being used in a number of counties, and maybe coming up with some guidelines or regulations for those. That would be another solution to providing workforce housing. So we're at the beginning stages, but we're working on it.
Good, we appreciate that. Anyone else?
I've got a little bit more research to do, I've been away, and, I'm gotta get back into, looking at some things and have a few ideas, it's gonna take a little bit more time, not much, just sort of.
Well, when we formed the committee, I said you have all the time you want. This is a long time coming, so we want, there's some good people on the committee, we want to move forward, however long it takes.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, it's a lot to think about.
Yes, it is. Thank you. All right, we have moved to new business. We will now take up 10C, Matthews County Board of Supervisors would like the planning commission to consider an ordinance exempting Matthews County from the zoning and subdivision requirements. Now, Citizen Jones got up and spoke about it. I, this email, from Mr. Bowen expressing his opinion, the way it went down at the last board meeting. I watched, as you all know, I watched every single board meeting that we've had for the last, I don't know how many years. It felt dirty. I'll be honest with you, it felt backdoor to me. It did not, when you come out and you make these votes and you want to, I'm just gonna tell you my opinion. You want to change the rules and regulations so the local government can do whatever they want, but we can't do it. All these people in here can't do it. The local government can make a decision. Well, we changed the subdivision ordinance, we changed it, the rules for us, but because Mr. Bowen made some points. But I didn't see Mr. Bowen, I didn't see anything you put in there that was, counterproductive to it, but I saw the things that you thought were productive. I'm not picking on you. I'm just telling you the facts the way I see them. If we do this, if we make the recommendation, our local government can exempt themselves. Well, I guess you could take that Dollar General van and you stick it right next to my house on the water, and I'll have to live with it. Just like some of the people are talking about a park. Some of them might be a little negotiable. That's the American way. We work together and try to get a solution. But this local government getting the authority to just do what they want with a subdivision, put anything anywhere they want, and they still can't observe the state rules and regulations or the Bay Act rules and regulations. But boy, you can, so in other words, you can build a building. You can put it on the property lines, whatever you want to do with it. You can build a building next to me. You got a buddy that you're going to build that building for, you're going to sell it to that buddy after you build it. All in the works, backdoor dealing. What's to stop that? What's to stop somebody on the board who want to do a backdoor deal to build a building next to me, no rules, no regulations, and then sell it to his buddy? Having a vote in the board and sell it to his buddy. I don't like it at all, none of it. I'll be honest with you. I think if we're doing this just for the hole in the wall, I double down, do not like it. I can tell you that. You're talking about selling the hole in the wall. All right, well, you want it, you send us the email, so this is a vital discussion. Mr. Chairman, why would we sell the hole in the wall to one person? We're landlords. Why would we give up our strength in being able to protect the citizens as much as we can protect the citizens? Because we own the property. At least we have some control over what happens over there. Can you imagine selling this property to the tenant and losing any kind of control over that property at all? In the future lawsuits that will come from the parking and the stress and just the aggravation? What about our people who want to access the ramp? That's why we have that property, water access, not the hole in the wall. You can float that right off the pier and watch it go to Gloucester. It doesn't make any sense to me. There has to be other solutions to the problem. The board needs to work and find other solutions to this problem. Not giving away or selling county property. The lease is good for 8 more years, right? 8, 9 more years. If we have to suck it up and go through the 8, 9 more years, let's be done with this lease. Just tear that building down. There's a whole list of grants that we can get to enlarge that water access. There's a whole list of grants we can get. We can double that. We can double that access. We can put a pier out there. We can make it great for Matthews County citizens. So that's my opinion. I don't want to hurt any feelings, but that's just that. You open the door with the email, and I'm very passionate about this water access and this hole in the wall stuff. And I've never met that man. Don't know who he is in this day. Mr. Roush, you asked to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that very passionate. It wasn't a speech, it was just your opinion, right? So, look, I'm fired up. You got me fired up. So I asked to speak because I don't know, what do you want us to do with this? I mean, are you asking if we should allow you to do this? Is that what you're asking?
What the board decided at their May meeting, 5-0, was to entertain the idea of selling the building. And the county attorney said that in order to do that, you'd either have to sell the entire parcel or sell a portion of the parcel. And you sold a portion of the parcel, then you probably needed to get the zoning ordinances changed.
Mr. Bowen, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but the 5 members, you said the 5 members voted to entertain it? I saw 3, I saw 2, but then I saw a closed meeting, then I saw a third one.
Yep, that was at the June meeting. At the May meeting, it was 5-0, and David Jones made the motion to send this amendment to the planning commission.
Oh, okay, the amendment to.
Okay, so you're asking the planning commission to consider amending the ordinance to exempt the county from subdividing county property. Is that correct?
It was an exemption for publicly owned property, not your neighbor's property building. And this was what the county attorney said, this would be a quick fix, this method of exempting the county from having zoning regulations applied to public land. Now, you could take a more comprehensive approach, and of course, that would take more time. And that's why the county attorney, in my judgment, my understanding of what she was saying is that to get this done quickly, this was the approach she suggested. But if the county wanted to address, say there is publicly owned property that the county has, and let's say it's commercial property, why, there may be many times where it may be worthwhile to the county to allow that commercial property to be further subdivided, so you can have more than one business there. If you look on Main Street, there are at least 7 businesses on Main Street or Court downtown area that have less square footage than what this restaurant would have.
Yeah, but Tom, don't you think those buildings have probably been there before?
Yeah.
Any of these ordinances would come up,
I
so
do.
they're probably grandfathered in.
I certainly think so, yes.
Yeah. It almost sounds like if the county wants to, get a special circumstances for the publicly owned land, I think we already have a process for that. Wouldn't it be like a CUP or something? So wouldn't the county have to come before the planning commission and put in a CUP and pay the permit? What is it, $200 for a CUP?
This is strictly so that they can sell the hole in the wall without any restrictions or any code violations against it, I believe, or so they can subdivide. It doesn't meet subdivision rules and regulations.
Yeah, I get that. And Tom, thank you for clarifying what exactly we're trying to do here tonight.
You did say one thing, Ron, I want to correct. It wouldn't stop you from buying a piece of property next to my house and then doing your commercial building, right? It would not stop you. So I understand it, commercial, but it doesn't, if things go awry and you want to be dirty, you're going to be dirty. And I'm not saying, I'm just pointing it out.
I understand, so.
Hey, Mr. Roush, let him finish, and then I'll let you finish.
Thank you. I don't have much else to say except that I don't think our county government, regardless of what may or may not have transpired with the courthouse green, should have special privileges that their citizens don't have. When I first moved to this county, I had 18 acres. I wanted to subdivide part of that 18 acres down to 1 acre so my mother and stepfather could live on our property and have their own parcel. Wasn't allowed to do it. Had to be 2 acres. Well, my bank said, we're not gonna let you subdivide your land by 2 acres. We would have let an acre go, but we're not gonna let you 2 acres. So if I couldn't do it, I'm sorry, you can't do it either.
So, Mr. Roush, you have another little comment?
Well, I want to answer your question. The example you gave, Billy, would be correct. That if the county bought a piece of property next to you, under the language that was suggested by the county attorney. So, it's certain, let me make it clear, there's no foregone conclusion that the Board of Supervisors are gonna approve the sale to advertise the property. And if it was to be sold, it'd be advertised to the public. It wouldn't be sold to one individual, it'd be advertised to the public. But we don't even know that that's gonna take place. What the Board of Supervisors agreed to do is to have a public hearing on this topic to see how the public feels about it. And that public hearing is set for next Thursday at Matthews High School, 6 o'clock. And the supervisors truly want to hear from the public on this. And if the decision was to try to sell it, then we have to work with the planning commission to try to find a way. And I think the better way, particularly with the comments that's brought up tonight, is if it was to be allowed, we have to take the longer approach rather than the short approach. And the longer approach would be to amend the zoning ordinances in a comprehensive manner that address the situation, and not just the situation at Holden Mall, but that would cover other commercial properties in the county. And maybe you could address it from commercial waterfront properties. You could address it that way possibly.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Mr. Bowman, did I understand you correctly that your attorney says that the only way to sell the building is to subdivide the property?
No, no. There, could sell it. There was discussion, it's 0.92 acres.
Mhm.
The restaurant, if it's gonna be a separate parcel, is 0.086, about a tenth of the parcel. The restaurant has, under the lease, the well and septic is located on the 9.92 acres. There's a parking addendum to the lease that addresses the parking. So, you could sell the entire 0.92 acres to the public. And the county could reserve an easement to maintain and use the, boat ramp and to, use and maintain the parking, because it's, some parking's designated for boat trailers, vehicles and boat trailers, other parking is designated for the restaurant, and other parking's there just for the public.
Well, I got a solution for you. Because I don't agree with changing anything to suit one business. I don't agree with giving the county total power, because with total power comes corruption. I think it's ridiculous to even go down this path. You were a real estate attorney. You understand that doing this opens the book to other issues. I'll tell you what you do. He wants the building, selling the building, but it's got to come off the property. It happens in this country all the time. People move buildings and houses. There was one in this courthouse that got moved. It is not unfeasible or unreasonable. He can have the building. I don't think anybody really cares if he could. But this, we're gonna change the rules for our governing body and then ultimately spitting in the face of the citizens of their property rights, which are limited and restricted by the government, to turn around and give the county an open book to do what they want is ridiculous. You want a solution? Sell him the building, tell him get it off the property, and he can take it where he wants to. He can take it to Gloucester like Mr. Cook said.
Mr. Riddle? Mr. Riddle?
I feel like we don't have an adequate amount of information to do this. I have a lot of questions. And my biggest concern, I think we need outside attorney to give us independent advice. It's a huge decision, which you all made very valuable point. You know, on one side, you've got a viable business that has hardworking people with the best views for any restaurant here, which we know we don't have enough restaurants. I think there's so much has to be discussed. I've had 40 years in the industry of writing, reading, interpreting, not as a lawyer, but as a commercial industrial real estate broker. This is probably one of the worst leases I've ever seen. And here that our county wrote the lease, in my elementary understanding of law, he who wrote the lease and was in error is to blame. And I think there's a exceptionally large potential lawsuit facing us with this tenant. I know they have temporarily have put it aside, but I think it was with prejudice, which means they can bring it back, and it was 11 million. I'd like to know what our relative costs are today. How much have we spent in legal fees? It's a paltry amount of rental rate that we get to it. It's not exactly a triple net lease, which it should have been. How much have we spent in legal fees, pump out fees? There's just so many questions that we really need to analytically look at to make a wise decision. And I don't necessarily think, but again, I'm not a lawyer, if giving all the freedom to the county to rewrite the rules is the right way to do it. But I think a smart business decision needs to be made. I think a county should not be landlords. That's a big feeling of mine. There's plenty of independent investors in the world that would love to own real estate. It's too complicated and it's biased at times. And I think we even have people in our senior management positions that have gotten themselves in trouble by airing their opinion. And, you know, like with most lawsuits, it's usually the person with the greatest, deepest pockets that comes out the best. And I don't think we have very deep pockets at this time. If we were to lose a significant lawsuit, our property tax may go up another 10 or 20 cents to pay for it. I'm not sure if we have insurance that covers that. But I think there's so much we don't know, and I really believe we need independent counsel. We need to go into an executive session to discuss this. I have certainly not made up my decision. I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible, but both sides of this argument is very valuable and viable, and we just need to dig deeper, and I think we should postpone this for at least 30 or 60 days to have independent counsel. Thank you.
Mr. Will?
Yes.
I would strongly agree with you. The problem is, it would so appear that the Board of Supervisors has fired the train up and already got it leaving the station. They're having a public hearing next week. So I 100% agree with you that this has been dumped on us and they're going, hey, next week we're moving on with the next step of the process. The train is leaving the station and to me, it shows we'll see what we can force going ahead. We're going to keep chugging. That's my opinion. I think that somebody's trying to force something tonight, and I couldn't agree with you more. We should have enough time to actually understand all the facts because this is a huge decision to make that affects the whole county.
All right, let me jump in here, just real quick. Mr. Riddle, do you want to make a motion that we lay this on 60 days and seek outside counsel's help? That means not Matthews County attorney, but outside attorney.
I think it's our appointed responsibility. We owe it to the citizens to do our due diligence. We can't make that decision. I think we ask the board to postpone their meeting. So yes, I make the motion that we obtain outside legal representation to help us through this, have an executive session.
Can't have an executive session, but we can have a workshop.
Have a workshop, thank you, and we postpone this discussion for another 60-day period. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, now let's have discussion. We can continue discussion since Mr. Wilson, you're next.
Yes, I have a question. I have several questions. I'm very concerned about this. Yes, yes, I am very concerned about this because what we're doing is you all have come to us to okay your permission to step upon the rights of the people in this county. I'm reading your letter. The county attorney, whoever this individual is, I don't know who it is now, has advised the board of supervisors that if the board decides to sell a portion of the acreage parcel, the county should adopt an ordinance that exempts publicly owned property from the zoning ordinances. That is a very general statement. What did this county attorney that we're paying tell you all? Did you even understand what they were telling you?
All right, that's question number one. Go.
First, let's make clear, there's no decision to sell the property. There was a decision to bring it to the public, and the reason for it is that the lease was signed in 2016, took effect in 2018. The county, and it expires in 8 more years. It's a legal contract.
We know that.
And, you know, we're stuck with that.
I know that.
Everybody like to change it, but there's problems with changing a legal contract. And maybe there could be a negotiation to change it, maybe not. But one of the things that's happening is there's a tremendous amount of money that is being spent. Pump and haul is one. I think last year, I believe it was about $54,000. I don't have the figures now, but since this has been going on for 5 to 6 years, so you know, it's quite possible we've spent $250,000 to $300,000 just on pump and haul, and we have 8 more years to go.
So
We have,
So I hate to interrupt, but he asked a specific question.
Well-
And I think you had the history in the email, most of it, right?
the specific question, the specific issue was, how can we get out from under this expense that the county's having? And the answer was either to fix it or to sell it. And the county attorney said if you wanted to sell it, then and particularly if you wanted to subdivide it, then you'd have to, it changes to the zoning ordinance. And the quick fix is what was suggested. A longer fix would be to have a language that would not be broad like this and address specific issues, like maybe commercial property on waterfront.
All right, let's go back to my original question. Did this county attorney, is this the same person who wrote the lease originally back 5 years, 7 years ago?
No.
Or was it a different one?
Different.
It's a different one. All right. When this attorney, who does need, where is this person located? In Richmond? Richmond, great. All right. When this attorney advised you all, did the person explain what the rationale was? Because you haven't said there's a rationale. It sounds to me, and a lot of people in this county are of the opinion now, that you all are trying to get out from underneath the problem with that person that we got over on Gwynns Island. I will shut up.
All right.
That's a question. Did the county attorney explain to you and the board why this was advice that they were passing on to you?
They explained that what I just said, that there's two ways to address this. You can have the quick fix, which is what was suggested. And the county attorney came up with the language and submitted it. The longer fix, which might take several months, would be a detailed study and review of how can
And you have to decide how you want to address it. Let's just say, for example, you want to address commercial waterfront property. How can commercial waterfront property be further subdivided? And address it from that standpoint. And so those were the two options, and the county attorney said the quick fix was this, and the board of supervisors took the recommendation of the county attorney, and it was a 5-0 vote to send it here. That was in May. The county attorney said we could do it by motion. After the May meeting, before the June meeting, the county attorney said we needed to have a resolution. And so at the last meeting, I think that was in June, the motion was presented, and at that point, Mr. Jones and Mr. Walls voted against the resolution. All right, let me ask this question. Instead of us recommending to you all that all public property should be exempt from the zoning ordinance, would you all accept it if we said one particular piece of property? What did the county attorney say to that? Because I'm sure one of the 5 of you must have asked that question. That would be considered special zoning, and that courts don't allow that. It's found on. You can't have zoning that's directed just to one piece of property that only affects 1 or maybe 2 people. That's why the longer approach would be possibly to look at commercial waterfront property and how could that need to be subdivided further?
And this county attorney that we're paying a fair amount of money, that was their position.
So, yes, he's answered that. Hold on. So you have said that it's against the law to do this with one property. In fact, what you are doing this all the time, the only reason that you brought this to us is for the hole in the wall, to sell the hole in the wall. And this is where I really just differ with you on this. This is where I really have a hard time with you on this. If you know it's against the law, change the zoning ordinance for one piece of property. Why are we doing this?
That's not what the law says.
That's what you said.
No,
I didn't read the law, I just heard what you.
you didn't hear what I said.
Say it again.
I said it's against the law to pass a zoning ordinance that affects 1 or 2 pieces of property. And that's why, Mr. Wilton, you couldn't say just for hole in the wall. You can't pass a zoning ordinance just for this 1 piece of property. The 9.92 acres. You have to address it from a comprehensive standpoint. And one possible way to address it, I'm not saying how to address it, but one possible way would be to say commercial waterfront property can be zoned in this manner.
So we want to change the whole zoning ordinance because you want to sell a hole in the wall. Is that, I mean, let's just, hold on, let's make sure that we're having a serious discussion. We're trying to be very respectful of each other's opinions. I'm asking a honest to goodness question.
And the issue was, first, again, I'm going to repeat, there's no agreement among the board members to do this.
I understand, but I'm asking you.
But
Go ahead.
the concern was that if we did do it, we want it to be legal and in compliance with zoning. We didn't want to have a repeat of the monument, the memorial statue. We wanted to comply with zoning ordinances. We felt that was important. And the county attorney gave us different options, a quick fix and a longer fix.
Thank you, Tom, for taking these questions. I know Mr. Mead is waiting, and then Mr. Meeks, and then Mr. Griffin.
Right.
And Mr. Cotton, we've got people really, but it is, we need to have this discussion. It's a very serious discussion when we're talking about people's rights and property rights and government's rights. So it's a good discussion, and I absolutely mean no disrespect to Mr. Bowen and anyone else. We just have backyard discussion. So go ahead, Mr. Mead.
Based upon the feedback we're just hearing from the planning commission, I think if you guys want to go ahead with the public hearing, be my guest, but I think we've kind of determined this idea of changing the zoning to where county property exempt, I don't think it's going to fly. So I think you need to look at one of the other solutions, and I think, having a creative real estate consultant or a real estate attorney, if selling the property is the best way to get out from under another years and years of pump and haul charges, I'm open to looking at that, but I think there's no reason for us to vote on this proposal to change the zone, change the ordinance. That's just my opinion.
I would like to have outside counsel to give us, we all have,
Took a motion.
Yes, that's what the motion is.
Okay, so that was addressed, can I
Mr.
respond to
Riddle,
that? I'll be very brief. The harsh reality, the bottom line is, we are probably spending 3 to 4 times more annually than what that annual gross income is. That's a bad deal. We gotta find a way to get out of it. It's called a negotiation, and the legal aspect is a big part of it, but that's what we needed, and that's why I requested a 60-day notice. I compliment Tom for coming up with some ways to solve this issue. It's a really bad deal. And we have no one to blame but ourselves, our county. So it's been bounced in our lap, sadly, to solve it. But I know with our brain trust, a little bit of legal outside insight, we will come to a good recommendation to the board. Thank you.
and there's a lot, everybody says, that Golden Law brings in a lot of tax dollars, I don't know, because we can't check on the meals tax. So hopefully them costs are being offset by those tax dollars from the meals tax. And Mr. Mead, Mr. Meeks, go ahead.
Have you discussed the buyout with Mr. Casal? Give him X amount of dollars in a reasonable amount, I mean, not talking millions of dollars, I'm talking about a reasonable amount to make him go away.
That's horrible.
The county attorney did enter into some discussions with Tommy Norman, the attorney for Holy Wall Restaurant, trying to find a way to modify the lease, whether that was to have certain incentives or payouts. It's my understanding that those discussions did not result in any kind of agreement or subject that they thought they could continue to pursue. All the exact details that were discussed have been shared with us, just that they went there. They couldn't find a solution.
Thank you, Commissioners. All right, we need to wrap it up, but Mr. Roush, and then Mr. Roush first, and then Mr. Doug. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna let it go one more round, and that is it. Chief off, we're going to the next subject. All right, teamwork.
How much longer is this lease supposed to last?
8 more years.
8 more years? It was a 5-year lease with 3 renewals. And he just, I think last year, renewed it, I think it's probably. So we've got 8 more years of this guy.
No, we hope not. Mr. Roush.
I just have a question about the motion. So, do we have a budget for acquiring legal counsel?
I would say if the board of supervisors denies that request, there will be some unhappy people around here.
Okay.
I've already checked on the budget, and it was 6,000 last year, it's been moved down to, I believe, 0 this year. So, yeah. Probably all their raises.
Yeah, we're still waiting.
Mr. Morgan.
2 things. To answer your question you asked earlier, Mr. Chairman,
yes, we are changing a zoning ordinance to benefit one property, and they want us to do it in a manner that doesn't affect just that one property, but is solely for this property. But we're gonna come up with a way to do it that it doesn't just affect that one property. And with that said, I would like to call the question.
Correct. I did say everybody had one last chance. He has called the question. Anybody? Mrs. Francis, this is your shot.
Well, everybody is pretty much in agreement, and, Mr. Morgan brought up some good points, and I'm in agreement with him. And I actually had notes here, that kind of, on saying that Mr. Earl had spoke. And want to ask Mr. Bowen, I think you had, said earlier that it was costing the county somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000, is that correct?
I think last year it was about 54,000. I've asked for the figures this year, and there's been some discrepancy in the invoices from the pump and haul company, and so they've gone back and in the process of reviewing that. We've been expecting the figures last week, or certainly the last couple of days, and as of yesterday, I don't think they had received the figures, whether they received them today or not. I would think they would receive them within the next 5 or 7 days.
I was just gonna make a crazy suggestion. Seeing as there's 8 years left on it, and one vehicle at the sheriff's office is about that amount, 54,000. If they could do one vehicle a year for 8 years, the problem is solved.
All right, is Mr. Francis done?
Yes.
So I get one last thing. Mr. Bowen, do you know how much meals tax they pay? I think at one time you did say that you knew. The taxes that they pay over there, does that more than cover the 50,000 per year? If that lease goes on for 8 more years and we have to go down that route?
Well,
That's, you know,
the only way we have to know that is to rely on figures from the Hole in the Wall restaurant. Their CPA provides the figures. Those figures are provided to the state, and they're confidential. The state will not release them to the localities. So,
in your opinion, you've been over there, you've done a lot of talking, and there's a lot going on here. Go ahead.
Well, let me first, remember, I'm the messenger as the liaison on the board, right? And I can be a whipping boy for tonight, but.
I'm not trying to whip you, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
Based upon the letter from his CPA, it appears that the meals tax is somewhere in revenue, is somewhere in the vicinity of $60,000.
Mr. Francis, you can keep your call. All right. Question has been called, the question. Leave it to the woman at the box. Go ahead, Mr. Francis.
She's only talked once.
What's up?
Come on.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with everything everybody said, and I'm just listening to it. There was one point that nobody brought up that, could possibly, change the amount that they're pumping over there. When, I spoke with someone at the health department, there was some little snafu that, if they were to be required to use paper products and not have to use didn't use the actual dishes, the water that they would be using would be less. And if in fact that is so, and could be approved, it may be that it didn't need to be as often, which would save everybody a little bit of money. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. Somebody could look into that. That's all. I'm done.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We will now call for the vote. So I will repeat this motion. Mr. Riddle made a motion to seek outside counsel from an attorney not associated with the county. He also asked to give us 60 days to do the research, talk to the outside attorney. So we will do a roll call vote
And have a meeting.
and have a meeting of the minds. This will be an open meeting. This will be for the public to see, straight transparency, nothing behind closed door. You ready?
Mr. Meeks.
Yeah.
Mr. Morgan.
Yeah.
Mr. Roush.
Yeah.
Ms. Minor.
Yay.
Mr. Riddle.
Yay. Yay.
Mr. Wilton.
Yay.
Mr. Mead.
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you all for a very great discussion, and Tom, I was maybe a little incorrect. We did wake up on you pretty good. Good. All right.
Poor messenger.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we take a quick 3-minute recess?
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, go home. I just got to say, I want to know what this next line is.
Keep in mind that the video is
Thank you so much, Francis.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Me too.
Maybe we moved the wrong thing to the channel line.
Because I'm not.
I went to doctor's and saw I can remember that we. I gotta go I had a revision when I was down there 2 months ago. Second operation. 3 hours because
Oh, me, real nice. Yes, we are.
Make sure everything's clear. Two specialists. I trust him.
I know what you did.
4 hours.
You said.
We have always read it in your ankle. My body don't work the same. It's not working.
It is.
I felt it out my step in my house.
Well, we got. I was very
Billy, I'll be back.
Thank you so much.
Well.
Yeah, really.
Now call this plan commission back to order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are we on 10?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question.
We're bringing Mr. Andre up, so what, if I can't answer, you might do that.
It's before, yeah, that's fine. Okay. My question is this. Are we bound by any sort of policy or legality to listen to the staff summaries for each of these CUPs?
No.
So we can waive that?
Yes.
I make a motion, we waive this.
I'll do it.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
What just happened?
You
don't have to work.
Well, it's not work.
Yeah.
We're waiving and reading the. The CUPs, the 3 CUPs that were brought before you is the ones that were passed by the planning commission in the past. I was on 2 of these. I might have been on the 3rd one, I can't remember. They are all in violation. They've all run their course in the 3 people in violation. Number 1 Bobby and I, Ramon, had talked about this. Pamela Mullins, that is, the lady was going to tear her house down. She's left the property, someone else is moving on her property. They're in strict violation, that's gonna go through the zoning office and to, courts, is that right, Bob?
What we're gonna do with, let's see, 3 CB 17 is, I'm gonna write this week, I'm gonna write, the owner of the property, a letter of violation letter. Basically. And then where it goes from there, out of my hands.
It was out of our hands as of tonight, because that one is a clear violation of someone else who's on the property, not the property owner, but it is the property owner's.
We leave the property owner's responsibility to do anything with it. Evict people, get them off, or whatever, call the sheriff, or whatever the.
Whatever y'all remedy is for that one, you can report back to us what happens with that one.
Well, again, it's out of my hands, if the county attorney.
All right, so let's go with the process. You're gonna file a notice of violation.
Yes.
First, you're gonna file, the board stated that you need to file a letter of, a courtesy letter.
Already done.
Already done. Then a notice of violation, and then you go on to follow the county attorney's advice on that one. All right, so CUP, short form as much as I can. CUP, 3 CUP 18, and 3 CUP 20.
What we're gonna do then is, call them in to the office and have them file another conditional use permit, which would require advertisement in front of you folks, as well as the board of supervisors.
So, I agree with you. The thing is, either they get a courtesy letter. You have 30 days to correct this issue, or you have an option to come in and request the planning commission to make a recommendation for you to have more time to deal with the property.
Right.
That would be for both these CUPs. I know both these cases, they're both pretty destitute people. I would like to, we have a couple of you guys now, committee, would y'all be willing to, Morgan and Roush and Doug, would y'all be willing to go on a committee to see if we can find help for these people? Social services, housing. Churches. Church, this is a committee that would be, it's a little different, but so they have an option to either comply, or come back to the planning commission and ask for more time, which I would certainly vote for. Except separate person, they're in complete violation. And you all would be on the committee to try to help find solutions, that would be great, because we really have them at this point. Now, they can ignore us, and then it goes into non-compliance, and then that goes right back to the county attorney. And then, one board meeting I watched, the board has requested anything come before them before it goes to the next step. Mr. Morgan, Mr. Roush, and Mr. Wilton, would y'all serve on the committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Morgan, you had a question?
So you're asking for us to look for help for, CUP 18 and CUP 20.
And if you want to meet with the first thing we're asking is for Mr. Andre to file the courtesy letter. They need to respond to that some kind of way. Or not. I mean, if we want to try to get them some help, find some solutions, bring it back to Mr. Andre and myself, and, or, certainly can go down to the site and.
Is there I'm trying to ask this in a very respectful manner, and by no means do I mean any disrespect when I ask you this. Is there a specific reason why, other than CUP 17, that the individual is left the property and somebody else is moving there? that we're not gonna look to help the person that's living there potentially, and we're gonna help the 18 and 20. I just want.
Oh, I would love to add 17 to that. No question about it.
I don't know backstories, I mean, I know some.
I can talk to you about it.
Off the, okay.
But the problem with 17 is they're in clear violation.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't wanna help these people and then that individual be in a position where they need help as well. I feel like I'd rather just help those in need across the board and just.
Absolutely.
So can we?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I have no, yeah, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Three committee members come up with some solutions to help these people, and, I don't know what's out there, but. That's right.
Yeah, so, these applications, Bobby, are these old applications?
Yes, sir.
We're just renewing them?
Yes, they are. The 13, I'm sorry, you have 3 CUP 18 was in 2018.
Right.
And the 3 CUP 20 was in 2020.
Okay. Thank you.
So they've all expired,
Yes.
and they're not in compliance. So that's the thing.
You even, well, that's neither here nor there.
They broke the rules, we know they broke the rules, so you know. I
And,
understand, but, yeah.
number 18 asked for special permission to put that trailer on there, and he got that permission.
He did, 5 years.
Okay, but, I mean, I'm curious if he even realizes it's expired.
Well, that's why we're trying to help, right? We're not trying to hinder, we're trying to help, yeah. Thank you all for being on that committee. Any other discussion about those CUPs? Right, South Bay Haven? South Bay Haven? We have heard a lot of discussion about it tonight, but we haven't gotten to it on the agenda yet, so. At the least, I would like to have a motion to set this up a public hearing next month. Or, you all have another motion you'd like to make?
Now, Mr. Chairman, I move that we, hold a public hearing on the South Bay Haven property for the next scheduled planning commission meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Who was the second? Mr. Wilton, will get you ready for that one too. All right, any discussion?
Yes,
Yes, sir, Mr. Earl.
I'd like to have someone, liaison from us, to meet with the community to see if there could be some type of compromise.
I would like so what usually happens is I'll get together or commissioners get together, we'll call, some of the people to go down, try to make an appointment with them. I think this one has gotten kind of so big that I would like to be able to, 4 of us at a time, maybe meet in this courthouse. If y'all would be available, we'll talk after that. So 4 of us at a time can meet with you guys. Maybe we meet here in cool weather where you're relaxed and we can talk. It would not be a formal meeting. It would be a question and answer and what can we do? Is there a compromise? You know, so that's, you ladies are good for that. Good idea, Mr. President. So we need to start.
As a non-Hawaiian Island resident, I'd like to put my name in for consideration to sit on that.
Well, I think we do 4 at a time, all of us can do it.
Yeah.
If all y'all want, whoever wants to do it. We have the sunshine, we can't meet, you know, anymore. No majority to meet at one time. So if y'all will stay afterwards, we would be more than happy to set up something. That would be awesome. Thank you, Mr. Burrow. We have a motion and a second, Mr. Meady.
I agree with the residents in that area. I don't know why we're even considering putting any time or money into another park when we've created a beautiful park at Haven Beach. And we've created a problem there with too many people trying to go there and no parking. Until we build more parking out at Haven Beach or put some more amenities out there, I don't think we spend 1 minute or 1 dime on anything else. We've created a terrific spot for our residents and for tourists, and it needs help. We've created a traffic nightmare and danger out there, little kids walking along that narrow road, people trying to move in and out. So I think we've got to focus on the wrong place.
Thank you, Mr. Meady. Anyone else? Kelly, can I have a roll call vote, please? Well, let me restate the motion. Mr. Roush made the motion, and we have a public hearing at our next meeting in, August on the South Bay Haven Park. All right, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Meeks,
Yeah.
Mr. Morgan,
Yeah.
Mr. Roush,
Yeah,
Ms. Minor.
Yay.
Could you repeat that?
Yay.
Mr. Riddle,
Yay.
Mr. Wilton,
Yeah.
Mr. Mead,
No.
Mr. Cook.
Yes. That vote is 7-1, for approval of the, public hearing in August for South Bay Haven. Mr. Mead was a long vote. All right, we will jump on down to number 11, Planning Director's Report. Mr. Andre?
I don't have anything new to add, except for going back to the CDPs. I would not expect those to come in front of you until probably October. Okay, I got write them, they got 30 days to comply, where they come in and say, I need another week, we're gonna grant them that. It have to be publicly announced, so I have to put that in the paper, so it's timing with that, so it's October.
Okay, well, we have a committee of, Mr. Morgan, just for Kelly, Mr. Roush,
And give them time to,
and Mr. Wilson on that committee, and then Bobby, you will be getting with them, keeping them updated on.
the progress, you guys.
Yes. In the meantime, they're gonna be working on ways to help these people.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody have a question for Bobby while he's up here? Any requests or directives for next month's agenda? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have the second public comment period. All the rules are the same. I see Mrs. Russell ready to roll. So
I'm tired, I wanna go home. Steve Russell, 276 Geyser Lane, Heavens, Virginia. I know you all already voted on it about the permits, but I want to give you a little bit of insight, having been the chairman of Matthews Market Days for 6 years. The permit process is not in the sense of you paid for a permit. You were actually writing all of your information down to the county so they knew who the point person was, who their contact information was. In addition, that permit goes to the sheriff's department. The sheriff department agrees that they understand what you're doing. We had to do drawings about the road closures, how many, cones we were gonna have, how many blockades we were gonna have, how many people were gonna run traffic that were certified to run traffic. Then it goes to the state police because the state police have to approve it. And then it goes to VDOT and they have to approve it. So there are some places where permitting process, although it didn't cost any money, is necessary. In addition, the school has a permit process. If we're going to use their parking lot, there is actually a charge for their parking lot. They usually waive it for things, but I know that Mayfair has to go through the exact same process that Market Days did. So I don't think you can just kind of like kick permits out the window because some of them are required, like the ones for Market Days. And just a personal opinion, I think if you're going to have, like, we just had that No Kings thing at the Port Fund, I don't think we should, any group should pay for that. But I do think it's a good idea if somebody's going to use county property in a situation like that they touch base with the county and the sheriff, give them their name and their phone number, so there's a point person. So if anything goes south, they know who to call. Just my opinion, but.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Mr. Joe?
You need my information again?
Supposed to, yes, sir, Mr.
It's 10344 Buckley Hall Road, okay, so earlier you heard the CNN version, and you know that it was cut up, and maybe, then I heard the word transparent. Back to the point of what the county attorney said about changing your zoning rules, and I quote, here's what she also said that was left out, is you can do it and then turn around and change it back. I was in that same meeting.
Wow.
Okay? I was in that same meeting. Okay, all right, so now let's go back in time a little bit about a piece of property sitting out here. At that point in time, there was a suggested claim on that property from the Daughters of the Confederacy, I believe. And in my recollection, I had asked on several occasions to give us proof that you own it. They state claim to ownership. Oh, I see. So then there was an LLC that was formed by one of the former speakers in here tonight to try to lay claim on it. So you see how the story just gets twisted around. So I'm gonna set the record straight. I am the one that made the phone calls and determined that nobody owned it but the county. And that's where it stopped. Okay? So just wanted to make sure that we got that record cleared up. The next thing that I have to say to y'all is your job has become increasingly tougher. Okay? It has gotten tougher. And I apologize for that. But you're gonna get transparency out of me whether you want it or not. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm just gonna tell you what was said. If you ask me, I will tell you. Okay? This is for one sale and one sale only. I'll never go for it, and I'll make that clear. Okay? And South Bay Haven, I'm at, there's been a lot of good points made, and there were a lot of good points made before. We just got to get back on being Matthews County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Anyone else?
Dawson Carroll, 75 Millstone Lane.
You can speak up just a little bit.
Pull the microphone.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. I think is it on? Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to know how you came to the conclusion that we need a public hearing. I'm sorry you've already done it and you voted on it. But why do we need a public hearing? I would like to know.
Well, that way we can hear from all the public, not just the people who live on South Bay Haven, but like the gentleman who was here earlier, we need to hear from all the public to see what the consensus is. And that's pretty much what we have to do if we're going to, vote for something.
It's not,
We can give
it's
you a
not
copy.
something that concerns the whole county. I'll read you what I wrote, it might not make sense, but anyway. This is not a controversial issue that affects the entire county. To us, the residents, it is simply a matter of our individual rights as private property owners versus the county wanting to create public access. And we feel that, excuse me, our rights are being encroached upon. We value living in a safe, peaceful, well-maintained community. Public access right, public access, I can't see anymore. Public access right next door would create a loss of privacy and especially security. There are 5 widows living in close proximity to the proposed park, and security is a major concern for us, and I'm one of those 5. So I just don't understand why it's a public right, we have to have a public hearing to discuss something it doesn't affect the whole county, the county of Matthews. So can you tell me why we have to have a public hearing? And
All right, so
let me
let's
just say one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
It wouldn't take but one person who wants this thing to happen, this development to happen, to go out and get 15 of his buddies and bring them in and make statements about why it would be good, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel about it, so.
All right, back in May, Mr. Walls made a motion, which he stated that, you guys were okay. You were okay with the
We know all of that,
right?
You
He
know
said he
all
got
of
bad
that.
information. Well, let me finish.
Okay.
They got bad information, so y'all came out in June. Y'all said, hey, Walls, no, we're not going this, right? So the board sent it back to the planning commission, as per the state code of Virginia. The motion was wrong, the whole thing was wrong. The board must send it to us when it comes to parks, and I've got a regulation here, so that we can, make the recommendations on it and for a public hearing. That's state code. And I'll show it to you after the meeting. So it is to protect everyone in the public, give everyone a right to have their opinion heard. That is water access. So that's why a lot of people, and young gentleman that was here earlier about kite sailing or whatever, he was, so it's county owned property, it's water access, it's zone conservationist. State says that the board must send the parks to the planning commission for their consideration and their recommendation. And then planning commission must hold a public hearing. So does that answer your?
Yeah, that answers my question. I still don't,
You don't agree with it? Okay. I understand that.
don't agree with it, and I'd have to see the evidence where it says that, excuse me, my mouth is dry. I'd like to see the evidence where it says that you have to hold a public hearing. If you could provide me with that, that'll make me happy.
We're gonna do that tonight, so, thank you, dear, appreciate it. Anyone else? Ladies first, go ahead.
Sorry, Lisa Edwards, 75 Millstone Lane. I just wanted to comment, so it's in the record, I think Mr. Morgan said something to the effect of a hypothetical of someone purchasing that property down the line. We would, of course, want to put in a pier. All the residents of South Bay Haven are used to that being a residential property where there was a residential pier used by one family, which is totally fine and normal. But what we're talking about here is the county plunking down a public access right there and putting in a public fishing pier, which is an entirely different thing. So that's the difference. It's not the same comparison to me. Something I didn't point out in my speech earlier is that my private leased oyster grounds are right here next to this property. And my family members own additional oyster grounds. The owner of the lease of the oyster grounds that is directly off of this property is not here tonight, but he's also in opposition to this, as it would create an unstable environment for the oyster shellfish farming, spawning, and the increased foot traffic would also, and boat traffic would impact our oyster grounds.
Thank you. Anyone else? Besides Mr. Hicks. Come on up, Mr. Hicks.
Yes, Richard Hicks, North Virginia. Let's start a new subject. If a residence is in a residential neighborhood, is rented 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, is it an Airbnb or a hotel? I wish you would address that issue. Thank you.
I would call that a long-term lease. Mr. Hicks. Short-term leases, not 365, 24/7. But that's my opinion. Thank you, sir.
Sharon Fry, 106 West Nile Road. I am a citizen of Matthews County, and I am proud to say that I own some waterfront property in Glens Island. It has a restaurant on it, it's hole in one. I do not want to sell my waterfront property. Thank you. Also, I have been down to South Bay Haven Beach. I couldn't find it. And I would not have a picnic there. You don't have to worry about me. I'm not gonna have a picnic there. I'm gonna go to one of the other 13 access, and so I don't think they really have to worry, and whatever they want. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime, Ms. Prime. Anyone else? All right. This public comment period is now closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion for adjournment.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hereby adjourned. Yes, sir. Morgan and Mr.
Thank you, everybody.